am I going now, just falling over dreams? Now I'm just so far gone, this isn't what it seems. Taking me so damn long, it's fading from belief. I need to slow this down, it's burning from beneath.
I'm playing GodFall. What do we have today? The legendary Blade of the North Star. Hopefully some of you will get that reference. If not, it's all good. Got a great weak point / soul shatter build for you here. Think you'll like it? Let me tell you why. Alright, so let's take a look at the gear. Okay, one of the most awesome weapons in the game, hands down. I think most of you will agree with me on this. The Storm Flares is an air DPS weapon. While inner focus is active, apply soul shatter buildup to nearby enemies and all your attacks deal soul shatter damage. Alright, the mods on mine are 19% soul shatter buildup, 24% weak point damage, which I'm going to be stacking as much weak point damage as I can. This is a weak point build for me. Plus 30% damage to shocked enemies, just a bonus there, and critical hit chance. Gotta love that critical hit. It's going to count for a lot in this build. Next up we have the Mark of the Duelist. Restore 94 health whenever you perform a critical hit. This is a survivability piece, and my mods stack critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and they happen to charge Arcane Fury speed and keep Arcane Fury going for a bit longer. Next up, one of the most OP charms in the game, the Lion Talisman. Whenever you perform a critical hit, gain 6% weapon technique charge and 32% weapon technique charge speed for 10 seconds. I believe the maximum on the Lion Talisman to be 7%. I could be wrong, but I've only ever seen 7% as the max. The secondaries on this, again, I focused on critical hit chance. Got a 17% critical hit chance on this. Some rampage start charge speed, because it's always nice to have that. And of course, I added soul shatter. Very convenient for these soul shatter style blades. Next up, the Ancestral Band. We're going to be charging that Arcane Fury up as fast as possible. Might as well. We're going to be hitting a lot of weak points. So let's charge up that Arcane Fury. Got 13% Arcane Fury charge to make it go a little bit faster than it was before. Add 24% to the Arcane Fury damage, and then add another 24% on top of that. Shield damage, that's just a bonus. Not the best, but it works. Next up is a Journeyman's Mark. This is an uncommon ring that is upgraded. Got pretty lucky on this one. Got some sweet stats on it, minus the timing attack, because I do not use timing attack. What we have here is 37% weapon technique damage, 7% weapon technique charge speed, 20% soul shattered buildup, 24% weapon technique damage. This thing is a beast of a ring with 61% total weapon technique damage. Very nice. Up next is the Archon Tier. I went with the crit on this because it really helps with the damage output, and it also scales the weak point damage. Scales with. What we have here is 19% breach damage, 19% soul shatter buildup, 10% dual blades damage, 23% hit damage. Now I went with the critical hit because a lot of the mechanics on this build coincide with the critical hit. It's almost a defensive stat in a way, mostly offensive, but an almost defensive stat because it recharges and shields me as I critical hit. What we got here on the secondary is 19% soul shatter buildup, 19% breach damage, that's just a bonus, 10% dual blades damage because that's all we're using. The second weapon on this build does not matter. We just want dual blades damage. And then to add to all that, 23% critical hit damage. Next up we have Messa's Banderroll. 25% crit hit chance, 63% critical hit damage. Secondary being 20% weak point damage, trying to stack that weak point damage, 11% critical hit chance, Another 24% weapon technique damage bonus, and again, another 6% critical hit chance. Lots of critical hits going on this build. All right, let's take a look at our augments. The first one up is Firmament. 32% Soul Shatter buildup during Rampage. So that Rampage charge speed is getting put to good use. Here we have 39% weapon technique damage, followed by another 23% weapon technique damage. Couldn't make much use of the polarity attack since I'm only using one weapon, but that's okay. It's a good augment. Up next we have, whenever you parry an enemy, gain 268 overhealth. This, for me, and this can be interchanged for other players, but for me is an incentive to parry more. I have a tendency to want to dodge everything, but parrying is very useful, very tactical, and well worth it. So I added a little bit more incentive in the means of 268 overhealth every 30 seconds. 59 damage to shocked enemies. It is an air weapon after all. And added a little bit of defense with 6% to all resistance. Next up is Primal Energy. Gain 175 overhealth whenever you use your Life Stone. Just a little bonus to the Life Stone. The build is pretty damage heavy, not particularly defensive, so added a little bit of vitality, put some air damage on there. It is an air weapon. Got a little bit more health when we use the Life Stone. It helps, trust me. Next up, also helping with the survivability, is Focus. Gain 72 overhealth whenever you perform a critical hit, and we are critical hitting a lot with this build. It is just critical hit after critical hit, and with the dual blade speed, you are gaining plenty of overhealth. What do we got here on the secondaries? Weapon technique damage happened to be the best one that suited this build. If I had a weak point one that had this much overhealth gained on critical hit, I would have used it, but I didn't. So instead I had the 40% weapon technique damage with an added 19% weapon technique damage. Loyalty. Whenever you hit a weak point, gain 1% Arc and Fury charge and 38% Arc and Fury charge speed for 10 seconds. 40% weak point damage, 13% Rampage bonus damage, 101 Vitality. Why Vitality? Simply because I don't want to be squishy. Surety. Whenever you hit an enemy with your Northern Technique, expose the enemy's weak points and deal 84% weak point damage the next time you hit a weak point. If you gotta ask why I want this augment, I need you to rethink why I want this augment. This is the weak point augment of augments. It is the best, and it gets even better with dual wields. On our secondary, we have 13% Rampage bonus damage, 35% weapon technique damage, 13% air damage, gotta love that base damage, and another 20% weapon technique damage again. Coming up next, we have Screaming Winds. This was a flavor piece for me because I like the air damage burst that you get when your overhealth is reduced. Primary, whenever an attack reduces your overhealth, deal air damage to attacker equal to 100% of the overhealth lost. Secondaries, 27% air damage, 27% damage to shocked enemies, and another 13% air damage on top of that. Lots of base damage to improve those weak point hits and all the other damage that comes out and about. Divine Conduit. Gain 50% Arc and Fury charge speed for 10 seconds whenever you are hit. Because I get hit. I can't dodge every single one. I seriously doubt most people can. There might be a few of you out there, but plan to get hit. And this takes advantage of that. Added some takedown damage because this baby bounces all over the place when Northern Technique is fired up. It is ridiculous. So you want to have that takedown damage added so you can one-shot mobs and go to the next one and one-shot them afterwards. Added the Vitality because, again, I don't want to be squishy. Alright, and Paradise. 23% weapon technique charge speed for 10 seconds whenever you perform a critical. Weapon technique charge speed is a blessing in this build. It is nice to be able to max out that Northern Technique on dual blades as fast as you can because you want to be hitting Northern Technique and exposing weak points so you can destroy your opponents. Secondaries on this are 30% air damage, and again I added Vitality. Vitality. How many hit points did I come out with after this? 3,557. And let me tell you, that's a good amount of hit points for the amount of damage this build can dish. Ignore what the attributes say. This thing dishes damage. It is awesome. Now, normally I would leave you all with some boss fight footage and some tower climbing footage, but I'm so confident in the strength and effectiveness of this build, I'm just going to show you how fast it burns down an Exalted Solaris. Some things to note about this build are that it can use the continuous takedown method, and that's why I added takedown damage to some of my augments. So when you're climbing the tower and you activate your Northern Technique, after you've killed one mob, you can do a Spectral Takedown, and if your Spectral Takedown kills the next mob, you can keep doing Spectral Takedown until your Northern Technique runs out. It's pretty fun. If you haven't tried it yet, please give it a shot. It is entertaining, to say the least. Thank you for watching, and have a good one until next time. Cheers.